The circle of teenagers fell silent as Emma's small body hit the ground inside the pen. She scrambled backward, dust clinging to her worn jeans, her heart hammering against her ribs as the massive German shepherd's head snapped toward her. The dog's amber eyes locked onto hers, muscles tensing beneath its midnight coat. Time seemed to slow. Tyler Whitford's laughter died in his throat, his phone recording the prank trembling in his hand. Shadow wasn't lunging. The dog everyone feared, the animal that had sent 2 handlers to the hospital, stood perfectly still, head tilted, studying the terrified girl with an intensity that made the onlookers take a step back. "Oh my God," whispered Sophia, her manicured nails digging into her arm. "What's happening?" Emma couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. Something passed between her and the beast, a recognition of a shared language only the wounded understand. Quick pause here. If this story's grabbing your interest, tap like and subscribe. It really helps me keep bringing you these tales. Emma Grant had always known that life wasn't fair. At just 12 years old, she found herself on the outskirts of the Whitford estate, a sprawling mansion nestled in the heart of Connecticut, owned by the wealthy Richard Whitford. To Emma, the estate was a world of luxury, an exclusive paradise where the Whitford children had everything they could dream of. But for Emma, life was different. While the Whitfords lived in extravagance, Emma wore hand-me-downs, always trying to keep her head down and help her mother, Margaret, clean the mansion. Margaret worked as a housekeeper for the Whitfords, one of the last remaining staff members after Richard had downsized to cut costs. Emma's mother had always stressed how important it was to keep the job. If she lost it, they would lose everything, their small cottage, their life as they knew it. Despite being the daughter of the help, Emma mostly went unnoticed by the family she worked for, invisible in their world of privilege and comfort. But everything was about to change on one fateful summer morning. Emma had often caught glimpses of the estate's massive German shepherd, Shadow. Richard had purchased him as a guard dog, a status symbol. But Shadow wasn't the obedient, docile dog Richard had expected. Instead, he was a troubled animal that growled at anyone who came too close, even the trainers. 2 handlers had already been injured by him, and now Richard was contemplating putting him down. But there was something about Shadow that Emma couldn't shake, something that drew her to him. She saw the fear in his amber eyes, the same fear she recognized from her own life. Fear of abandonment, fear of being misunderstood. One afternoon, things took a dangerous turn. Tyler, Richard's 15-year-old son, and his friends decided to play a cruel prank on Emma. They taunted her, dragged her toward Shadow's enclosure, and dared her to get close enough to see if the dog would attack. Emma's heart pounded in her chest as she was pushed into the pen. But then, something unexpected happened. Instead of lunging at her, Shadow stood completely still, his amber eyes locked onto Emma's, his body tense, but not aggressive. Tyler and his friends were shocked. They'd expected a vicious attack, not this. Emma could hardly breathe as she stared back at the dog. Something passed between them, an unspoken connection, a shared language that neither of them could fully explain. Shadow wasn't just an aggressive dog. He was a wounded animal, just like her. The moment didn't go unnoticed. Richard, having witnessed the unexpected behavior, demanded that Emma prove Shadow wasn't dangerous. He told her that she had 3 days to train the dog, to show that he could be tamed. If not, Shadow would be sent away to be euthanized. Emma knew she had to act fast. She had never trained a dog before, but she was determined not to let this opportunity slip away. She spent hours reading about German shepherds, learning how to train them, and doing everything she could to connect with Shadow. As she worked tirelessly, she realized something important. Shadow wasn't just a dog. He was her chance to prove her worth, to show the Whitfords that she was more than just the help. She had something valuable to offer, and now she had to prove it. In the midst of her intense training sessions, Walter, the elderly groundskeeper, noticed Emma's dedication. Walter had been a military dog handler in Vietnam, and he saw in Shadow the same signs of military training he had once witnessed in his own canine companions. Shadow wasn't just any dog. He was highly disciplined, trained for something far beyond mere protection. But there was a darkness in Shadow's past. Something had happened to him, something that made him distrust people. Walter, recognizing the dog's potential, became Emma's ally. Together, they worked on Shadow's training, focusing on trust, patience, and understanding. Emma learned that Shadow's aggression was born from fear, not from malice. He wasn't inherently dangerous. He just needed someone to show him that not everyone was going to hurt him. Then came the moment of truth. Dr. Harmon, a renowned animal behaviorist, was called in to evaluate Shadow. Emma was terrified. What if Shadow failed? What if everything she had worked for was all for nothing? But to everyone's surprise, Shadow performed admirably. Not only did he respond to Emma's commands, but he displayed an intelligence and precision that left Dr. Harmon and Richard astounded. Emma had done the impossible. She had transformed a dangerous dog into a loyal companion. But despite the dog's success, Richard remained determined to send Shadow to a research facility. He planned to have him tested to determine if he was truly valuable. Emma couldn't let that happen. With the help of Sophia, Richard's daughter, Emma fought for Shadow's future. Sophia, who had seen the bond between Emma and the dog, understood what Emma was doing. She believed in Shadow, and she believed in Emma. The real turning point came when Richard witnessed Shadow's protective nature firsthand. His youngest daughter, Samantha, who suffered from severe epilepsy, had a seizure. In that moment, Shadow did something no one expected. He sensed the warning signs of the seizure before it happened. He moved toward Samantha, alerting the family to the impending crisis. Richard was stunned. He had always seen Shadow as a problem, but now he saw the dog's true potential. For the first time, Richard reconsidered his decision. The dog wasn't just a status symbol or a dangerous animal. Shadow had saved his daughter's life. As the days passed, Richard made a surprising offer. He agreed to let Emma continue working with Shadow, but this time it was more than just training. He offered Emma a scholarship to attend a professional training program, to learn more about animal behavior and possibly build a career working with dogs like Shadow. Shadow's future was secured, and Emma's life was about to change forever. But the true victory for Emma wasn't just in saving the dog. It was in proving that she was capable of more than anyone had ever given her credit for. For the first time, the Whitfords saw Emma for who she really was, not just the help, but someone who could make a real difference. As Emma stood beside Shadow, watching him grow stronger and more confident with every passing day, she realized something important. The bond they shared would never be broken. Shadow had found his purpose, and Emma had found hers. The love and trust they had built together was a reminder to everyone that sometimes the most unexpected bonds form in the face of adversity. And just like Emma and Shadow, we all have something valuable to offer, even when the world seems to overlook us. The journey had been long and difficult, but Emma had proven that with patience, determination, and a willingness to see beyond appearances, anything was possible. In the end, Emma hadn't just saved a dog's life, she had saved herself. Sometimes the greatest lessons come when we least expect them. We all have something valuable to offer, even when others don't see it, just like Emma, who saw the potential in a misunderstood dog. We too can find strength in unlikely places. Every bond has the power to transform, not just those involved, but the world around them.